So yesterday in court was Cassie's first day of cross-examination. So that's where Puff's team gets to ask her questions about her testimony and just different things that they want the jury to be to hear.
Right.
I don't know what the prosecutors are doing. They did such a good job the day before of laying out, what they had and establishing why their charges make sense, even though I don't think that it's as like gut-wrenching as they've made it seem from all the indictments and stuff like that. But y'all, the way that Cassie was looking on that thing yesterday, first of all, they debunked so many different things, just speaking to her credibility, right? Like not getting into like the forest and all that yet, right? Just speaking to her credibility. Y'all know on the stand the day before she told that story about Suge Knight and Puff and D-Rock allegedly grabbing guns and going to run into Suge Knight at Mel's Diner. Right. And he left from a freak off to do that, according to her, right? So according to the defense team and the interview that Cassie did with the prosecutors before she got on the stand, like in the beginning of the investigations, that story was completely not true that she said on the stand the day before that. So
how did they debunk that?
So they basically asked her, they said, hey, you remember yesterday you testified that you stayed in your home and you were upset and that Puff had allegedly left from a freak off and blah, blah, blah. Like they went down what she said. Right. Then she was like, yeah. And they said, well, do you remember, and they ran down the date that you spoke to the prosecutors and you told them that you were forced to get into a car. You were crying, you were upset, but you didn't have a choice according to you, right? Like you were like basically forced to get in this car to go with them to run into Suge Knight. And she was like, I never said that. And they said, oh, okay, well, we have the transcripts from your interview with the prosecutors right here. She looks at it. She pauses for a moment. She said, I don't know why this would say that because I've always said that I didn't go. And I'm like, but it's an interview you did with prosecutors, so it looks crazy. And there was so many moments like that where
that's why you shouldn't try to remember nothing when you was on drugs.
Right.
When you're trying to recall things when you're on drugs, no.
Now, let me talk about that because I thought about that too. Like, she said a lot yesterday and the day before that about how much they were using drugs. So some things may be a little hazy for her. She couldn't even remember some of the escorts and names that they knew that she had slept with, right? So
who remembers escorts' names?
No, she remembered a lot of them. Because they were using they were using a lot of them for a long period of time and taking them to different states. But drug use. So there was a time in 2017 where things were like super, super hazy, right? And she on the stand said, I really don't remember much from this time because there was something else that they were talking to her about and it was just all over the place and she wasn't sounding like she was telling the truth. So they're talking to her about the drug use. And the day before, remember I told you guys, they were asking her about the drug use and asking her how she would resupply on drugs. Like who gave her the drug dealer's contacts and stuff like that. And she said, Diddy. And when she said that, I watched Diddy in court look at her like, girl, what? Yesterday on the stand, they said, okay, so let's talk about your drug use, right? Because is it or is it not true that, both of you guys were using drugs, but Diddy was still able to run multiple businesses and like ran down a list of everything he was doing. He was more functioning. And she was like, yeah, I mean, you could say that. And then they go into having a conversation about the fact that at one point in time, Puff was calling drug dealers and telling them to stop serving Cassie because she was so bad off. Like she was worse off on drugs than he was. And Cassie admitted that was happening. The day before that, though, they painted it as if she was like lost in this whole like drug abuse thing that was caused and spiraled out by Puff. Yesterday, the conversation was, no, you were making choices on your own, to the point where he was even having to intervene with some of her friends because he didn't like how much drugs she was doing. He was trying to like protect the way that they were doing. Like they were doing their things, right? But he was trying to make sure that it was, from what they're alleging, that it was a lot more safe. And she didn't push back on it.
I thought they were saying, I thought Diddy's team was saying that Diddy was also on drugs really bad, and they were trying to say that's why he didn't remember putting hands on her.
But they even said he OD'd.
Yes. So look, they never, and this is why I'm saying the prosecution left their star witness out there looking crazy, because Diddy's team has never ran from any of that. They have talked about his drug use. Yesterday, it did come up in court that he overdosed at this around the time that Whitney Houston passed away, right?
Was he rushed to the hospital when he overdosed?
Yeah, they said they took him to the hospital. It was like a whole thing. They didn't go into a lot of detail about it, and I have been trying to get more information on that, because for a lot of us in the courtroom, we were like, wait, what? How did this happen? How did he overdose? And the world never knew. But that's how bad their drug use was. But he was always able to like keep himself together and not like fall off, and able to like try and like go through like withdrawals and stuff to get off of it. She was having a bit of a harder time from what it seemed like, to the point where he was encouraging her to go to rehab, and she admitted she did go to like a wellness spa and things of that nature. But I think the reason why I brought that up is because Puff's team did try and use that as a defense, right? And she tried to do that as well. But the way that everything is coming out now, it's really seeming like, okay, what we saw happen to her in that video, and the other things that I know happened to her because we've seen photos of the bruises and things like that, right, is not okay. But the way that they were able to almost humanize, like, okay, he had a lot of drugs in him too. If we're going to give her a pass for, being drugged up and, not being able to make her own decisions, we should have that conversation about him too, is what they were able to accomplish yesterday.
Up a lot.
Yeah, and they used her to do it.
This is what I was telling you, Loren. You got 8 weeks. You're going to go crazy because every day when the prosecution is on, the prosecution is going to say things that make sense. When the defense is on, the defense team is going to make things that make sense. You're going to be playing hopscotch like, oh my.
Charlotte, look at this.
You got 8 weeks.
I am like, if I was a juror, I would be so stressed out.
You should really do a book and documentary after this because you're there every day. Next question I was going to ask, could Cassie be charged? Will they charge Cassie? Because from what you're telling us, it was like
baby girl was the number 2.
No, she was number 2, and she was setting
up. I told y'all
that
yesterday. Yesterday I said she was G Money and Diddy's Nino Brown.
The freak offs, and she allegedly supplied some of the drugs. That's what it seems like they're saying. So could she be charged as well?
I had asked some questions about that yesterday to a source who told me that they had heard that there were some conversations about immunity, which would only make sense. But they can't 100% confirm it. But I'll have that by Monday.
I got so many questions. You gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go. We can come bring it back.
Did he blow up Kid Cudi's car? What happened with Michael B. Jordan? Tell us.
Child, we got some more for the next hour.
Jesus.
Because some people call some strays. What, Jess? What happened?
It's Janet Jackson's birthday though, so happy birthday to the legend.
Yeah,
but
Janet don't want you mentioning her right now.
Not right now.
Like, yo, you can mention me anytime.
In a minute
you don't
from
have
now,
to
but
mention me right now. So close to this story.
Yeah, just a little
you
after.
You didn't have to do that.
Oh my! Who's that on your shirt?
Jess, wait, back up. Let me see your shirt.
Who's that on your shirt?
That looked like victim number 7. That looked like the drug supplier.
That's
who was supplying Diddy.
Yo, this is the
drugs.
picture. This is the picture that Snoop posted.
What's that on your head?
Huh?
What's that on your head?
On my head?
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, it's my ponytail.
I know
it was my ponytail back then. I've come a long way.
I want that in a large. You better have that in here next week.
I need one too.
I need one too. Don't clip my ends. Jess Hilarious.
All right.
Hey y'all, it's Loren LoRosa from The Breakfast Club. Sorry to interrupt, but y'all know how I do. So I'm here to talk about Top Dog Law. Y'all hear Top Dog Law all over your radio, and I know by now that if you want top dollar, you should also know this. You gotta call Top Dog Law if it's about your car accident. Don't let these little family lawyers finesse you into a little check. Shouldn't nothing be little this season. Remember, for any serious accident, injury case, Top Dog Law gets you top dollar. So make sure you call today to find out what your car accident, your slip and fall, or your construction accident case could really be worth. And calling Top Dog Law is completely free also. It's free for a consultation. Call Top Dog Law today to see if your case is eligible for compensation with no money down. So make sure y'all go holla at my dogs, no pun intended, over at Top Dog Law. That's Top Dog Law on Instagram and topdoglaw.com. Now, let's get back to The Breakfast Club.
Wake that ass up
early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.